All right, there's one topic I really wanted to ask and get to. Did you guys see the overruling of affirmative action in college admission?
No,
Did you guys everybody see that?
I didn't see it.
So
Yes.
yeah, so the main target was Harvard and UNC. Surprisingly, 10% of the kids are legacy that get into those schools and those programs. That's one thing that was opened up. But it was said that the Asian kids have to score somewhere like 270 points higher than everyone else to be admitted, and it's not based on merit, it's based on, the skin color, so to speak. So they wanted to take that out. Skin color being the reason why people are admitted to school or not. And so the Supreme Court gutted affirmative action in terms of college admissions. And then also, did you guys see over the weekend a couple weekends ago, what happened in our neighborhoods? Did you see what happened in Baltimore?
Yeah.
So I think 25 people got shot.
At a block party.
25 people.
28.
My bad. In Northeast, I think it was yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
10 people got shot. 9 people?
It was 9. Yeah.
9? Okay. In Philadelphia, I think 7 people got shot. 5 died in that one. And was it Fort Worth?
Oh, it's Houston for some reason. Was it Houston?
It was a bank robbery, but I think it was like Fort Worth or something. But again, just one of the celebrations where people steady getting shot in our communities for no apparent reason other than it's a holiday. It seems like. I mean, obviously, we know people get together for certain reasons. We know at home, right? Every time we got the Jamaican Day parade, any parade, motherfuckers getting shot up for sure. And we just blink at it, But with the rolling back of affirmative action, what's going on in our neighborhoods, how our, and then also I was looking at one more thing. So there's like, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, 2 million, I think it might be even more, 2 million millionaires that are Black American. And I was doing the numbers, that's 5%. So I think it's 2 million if I'm not mistaken. And you see all of us up here educated or, doing well in our own right. And then we got a lot of bullshit going on. And I feel like it's only us doing it to ourselves. I don't think anybody's influencing it. So I guess wanted to ask this question because it works both ways. I feel like, is racism still a valid excuse in this day and age? I heard Chaotic ask people all the time, tell me a time where you experienced racism. And I've seen so many people get tongue-tied when he asked that question.
I've experienced it growing up. I've experienced it. I've experienced it in adulthood too.
Can you tell us a time?
Yeah. Recently or when I was growing up. So it was a lot more prevalent when I was growing up, obviously.
Recently.
I say recently, like within the past I call microaggressions racism, right? And so I'm gonna talk about those. So went back home and there's a lot of microaggressions, but talking about how eloquent I speak, or I'm not racist. I have colored people as friends as well. Those types of things. Like, oh wow.
They use those exact words, colored?
They used, colored. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh wow. How'd you get that job? Or you have your own business, like microaggressions. When I was growing up, it was, the N-word with the hard R. We're not allowed to go to certain neighborhoods. We're not allowed to play with the
I'm talking about now though, because I think
that's what I'm saying. I said the microaggressions now.
Yeah, so the microaggressions, and I have to be a devil's advocate. I feel like it's like a reach now. And don't get me wrong, we have diversity and inclusion. I hear about microaggressions and I had to talk about it. you know, from being on that board or whatever the case is. But I feel like we're reaching like, oh, damn, you're doing better than I expected. But I'm talking about real racism that downtrodden you and hold you back, not them saying, I'm impressed that I see a nigga with a business.
So
I'm surprised.
According to your racism, according to your definition, is very subjective then. Because I believe microaggressions are still racism. That still has an impact.
I just think it's a reach. I don't think it's very impactful because you're saying you did.
But if it's repeated in an environment, that was one example. Listen, please don't harp on that one statement.
I'm saying that you're saying that when you had a business and they were like, "Wow, you have a business."
That was one that I mentioned. I mentioned other before.
No, you said the grammar too. Grammar is one.
That was one. I also have black friends. I have black friends that are colored as well. I said that's what Bub asked, and they used the word colored.
You said colored?
Oh my God.
They said colored.
Are you not listening? Yes.
No, I didn't know what Bub was saying. You saying they called you colored? What year was this?
I have colored friends too, is what she said. And this
what I'm asking what year was this?
In the 2000s. So you can't
okay.
But I'm saying you can't ask me from my experience and sit there and say it didn't happen or that's you can't.
I didn't say it didn't happen. I said that those microaggressions. I feel like I'm hearing that more and more. Like
what I'm saying, right? But my point was before you interrupted me again was if it is continual and perpetuated on a daily basis, that does have an impact on a person's psyche. It does.
You got called colored in 2000 and something. No wonder why Bub was so interested. He didn't want to say.
She didn't call me colored. She said, I said, you are racist. She said, I'm not racist. I have colored friends as well. This is the fourth time I said the same statement. I have colored friends as well.
She was probably an older woman too.
Of course, no. That's not the point. The point is she used the word colored because him saying I'm not. He can't believe it happened. It happened in the 2000s.
I'm just saying that it didn't happen. Mr. I'll be right back with the $2 super chat. Racism is like saying your dog ate your homework.
Well, that's not true. I mean, fine, that's his opinion, whatever. But there are people that experience racism on a daily basis. It can be microaggressions or it could be very overt. And it is still prevalent. It's prevalent in healthcare. It's prevalent. I'll tell you another example. I'm off my business out there, but it happened to me in healthcare. I want a particular procedure done because I felt I needed it because my health was deteriorating. And the doctor said, you don't want to get in, try to scare me out of it. Another friend of mine had the same exact thing, but she was white because we worked in the same area and it was close to our job. And he recommended that she get it. So it does happen. Like it's just because you don't experience it doesn't mean other people. You can't take away from their experience. Is all I'm saying.
No, we having a conversation, but also
not just I'm talking about the super chat. I'm talking about the super chat. I wasn't just talking about
what was it? Which one?
When he said the dog ate my homework.
Oh well, because remember we move the conversation every which way, but the conversation is all about excuses. So that's the frame of mind I'm coming from. That's the reference.
Racism is an excuse. It's an excuse. Hold on. We've been sitting here listening for the last.
Hold on, Gunny.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hold on one second. So that's why I'm kind of just going at it, Love, because we're saying like microaggressions. Like, did it stop you? Did it hinder us? Or are we always complaining about shit that we don't need to complain about? Even though we know it exists. We're not saying microaggressions don't happen, but I just think people overblow them a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think that they overblow them. And again, it's very subjective because what you experience, it may not impact you, but like I said, if you're in a corporate environment and you get these microaggressions, then it can, and it does have the potential to impact your psyche. And it does impact your psyche. Thank God we have access to healthcare, mental health care, but it's needed because if you're constantly getting jabbed with microaggressions or racism or whatever, it has an impact. I don't think it's an excuse at all. I think it does still happen. Does it mean that you should just give up? Absolutely not. Does it happen? Yes. We're talking about two different things. No one's saying just give up and saying don't do anything about it. You're just stuck. You are hopeless. It's helpless. No one's saying that. If you're experiencing, you have tools now to address it, both legally and mental health wise. It can be addressed and it can be dealt with, but no one's saying give up. Use that as an excuse not to elevate and be promoted in your life.
We Unlock Nation with a $5 super chat. Just because you don't see racism doesn't mean it's not there. Still low key with 21 with the $10 super chat. Thank you for calling out the microaggression BS. Go visit the lynching monument in Montgomery, Alabama. Then come back with that weak mindset. Will with the $5 super chat. He might be trying to talk to somebody. Who you at and Will? Is it possible that your coworker had a different health profile than you?
I think it's somebody.
So he was talking to me. He was addressing me when I said that. That's what he's talking about.
Gotcha. So I guess he's saying maybe it was a recommendation for her, but not for you, but because her profile was different.
I noticed what he's saying, but Will, you're wrong. Again, I don't want to give too much of my medical information out on this podcast. It was an example. If I couldn't use all of the information, I shouldn't have used it in the first place. But the point was, it did happen. I'm not going to put my health information out there, but no. And it's what he said to me as well, without me saying what it is.
Gotcha. Gunny, go ahead.
I think that Black people need to stop using racism as an excuse. It's a giant excuse, and we sat here and we listened. And love, it's not a shot at you, but we sat here and we listened to the struggle of trying to figure out how racism has impacted our lives. But the fact of the matter is, 10 of us on this panel, and racism is a roadblock. It's a barrier, like every other barrier in life. Racism is just one of them. But in 2023, racism is not stopping any one of us from achieving our goals in this country. And Black people use that as a crutch. But I believe, though, that Black people are waking up, and we're straying away from that liberal mindset. It's a liberal mindset of victimhood that we continue to use to point the finger at somebody else instead of looking in the mirror. When I tell you I'm so beyond tired of Black people talking about racism, bro, it's
okay.
Come on, man. For another 300 years, we're gonna continue to do it.
Yo,
go ahead, Bub.
Sometimes I kind of agree with Gunny, but I'm just not that passionate about it. Sometimes we do need to I'm talking about Black people.
What you mean sometimes?
My fault. We do need to apply ourselves more.
Shit like that.
We do need to apply ourselves more. Like Gunny said, if it's something we trying to achieve, just go do that shit, man. Just go do that shit. Don't use racism as a fucking excuse. Just go apply yourself and handle it. And if racism does occur during your process, like I think Love said, fight through that shit. If you got to fight through that shit legally or what have you, take the proper steps and get it done. We're about to be in 2024, man. Like, sometimes we are our own, restrictions. We restrict ourselves from a lot of shit, that could be obtained, and we don't have to use racism as an excuse. Skid it.
Q, is racism still a valid excuse in this day and age?
I believe it exists. I think what Bub is saying, and I understand his perspective. Gunny, it's kind of hard for me to take advice from you. I can't take advice from a nigga with a MAGA hat with a ponytail coming through it. But I think that there's definitely racism and being a hindrance to certain people. But like I said before, go as far as you can go to piggyback what Bub and Gunny are trying to say. But you will reach a point where they will remind you that you's a nigga. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
We can't preach
Omega
that message to our young people.
Hold on. Omega Green with the
can't
fellas.
do that.
How does
I'm sorry.
racism stop you from being Gunny? We gonna get you gotta get rid of that Dell. Omega Green with the $5 super chat. How does racism stop you from becoming an engineer, physicist, doctor, lawyer, judge, or successful entrepreneur? Before Gunny jumps back in, anybody else want to chime in?
That's exactly what I just said. Go as far as you want to go, and they will remind you that you's a nigga. So you can be that, but you will be that at a certain level. And then there will only be so many of us in those seats. That's just me being realistic.
But Q, what about our conduct though? How much? My question is, how much does conduct have to do with it though?
Well, I think conduct would be the scapegoat for them.
What do you
That's
mean?
just an easy way to say we've created this ideal with certain things that have been done through government, right? We've spoken about that. I think Eddie speaks the most about it historically, but he's not here. So in a way, like we've created parts of this, right? We have some accountability in this. And then when you act a certain way, we'll just use that as the scapegoat.
Mm.
So
they use our
Q, can I
conduct.
give you this example?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, man. Hey, Q, can I give you this example?
Gunny, slow down. Raise your hand for the rest of the show, Gunny.
So Gunny, you would be the epitome of this, right? How you are on the panel, you're very passionate to Black people, but you would be aggressive to them.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, Q. So you're saying, they use the conduct of just Black, how they stereotype Black people to hold Black people back, so to speak.
Yes. So that's why I said that I used Gunny as the example. Like we like, yo, Gunny passionate. We could say that because we niggas, but you would be seen as aggressive to them. And then that would be a reason to be like, well, you know, Gunny, I think you're going to qualify to be a great asset to this company, but we just can't give you the role of president, you know? Just a little bit aggressive. And they'll say that to Love's point in a micro, I forgot the word that she used, microaggression kind of style. But that's what that's going to be for you. So you'll have probably done more than your ancestors, but they're going to remind you that you're a nigga. And you'll go home feeling that. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, I understand what you're saying, but let's say I was running a race, right? Let's say I was running a race against two other people. I was running a race against two other people, and I'm at the starting line. I'm ready to go, and there's a prize of $10,000 to win this race. And then right before I start the race, someone walks up and whispers in my ear and says, "Hey, bro, the race is rigged. The race is rigged. Even if you win the race, you're not going to win the $10,000 prize. The other person is going to win the $10,000 prize." What does that do to the psyche of the person that's running the race? They're going to run the race already believing that they're defeated. They're going to run the race already knowing that it's rigged. So do we want to preach that message, or do we want to say, okay, the race is rigged. How about you go run another race? Or better yet, how about you get your own race and make sure that it's fair for the people that are running it? That's my point.
Well, what's the race of the person who told you that?
Once again, it's a random person. We don't know that. And that's my take when it comes to liberals. We don't know what when liberals tell us, okay, the race is rigged, we don't know what their intentions are. It could be to warn us. It could be to deceive us. We don't know. But they're putting something into our head that we're already defeated before we even start. That's what I'm saying. That's what I have a problem with. Why are we putting that message into people that are starting the race?
Let the point land. Let the point land. So Keys is saying if we start telling the kids that early on, they're gonna use it, and they're gonna already assume they have a disadvantage no matter what. So you're saying we may just not want to perpetuate that message.
But are we perpetuating? I don't know that we're perpetuating that message, though. I'm sorry, Q. Go ahead.
So we want to tell everybody that they can be president?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's basically, yeah, like you don't want to hinder them by saying you can't be president because you're black. Or do you think that takes away from the realism or the reality?
It's like so to me that's the equivalent of the participation ribbon.
Trophy thing.
Yeah. Kind of the same thing. But you gonna know the person that you're speaking that into would probably be better off doing something outside of being president, but everybody gets to participate, right? So we just going, that's where we're going with it.
But it wouldn't be predicated off of race. It would be their ability. So yeah, if I see a guy who wants to play receiver and he's 300 pounds, I'm like, bro, you can't play receiver, but you can come block, you know, but I'm not going to tell him he just can't play football.
Right.
Period. You know what I'm saying? He can play another role. Mary, what you?
But would you tell him that he could own a team? Or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7?
No, he definitely couldn't own that many. I mean, that's just money. You know, that's just money. If you can amass the wealth, you can buy a team. But I guess you're saying, but I guess maybe they blocked that too. But I think didn't Magic Johnson just get the Commanders? I think it was a bunch of people, but I think Magic was on the board of that.
Yeah, could have been Pity. I mean, he did have AIDS, so.
But he the first man to get rid of AIDS. Mary, what you think?
Man, I think we all a little racist. I don't care what race you are. We all have our perspective of who or what the next person is or what they can do. I don't believe in telling our children things that they can't do. We can teach them and prepare them for what the possible outcomes may be, but I'm not going to tell my child, no, you can't do this unless there's something that's dominantly there where you have no legs and you trying to fucking play regular football. Like, of course, it's like, no, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? But in regards to anything, being the president, being a CEO, like, no. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the microaggressions are being used too loosely. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had somebody tell me and my husband the other day, that's a white older lady, oh my God, your kids are so cute. I want mixed babies. I took it as a compliment. Like, will other people take it, other people take it as being like racist? Yeah, other people can take that as racist. But to me, it's a compliment. I got cute kids. Your kid's full white. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's the things that are so minor that people are allowing to stop them from their own growth instead of being like, I don't give a fuck what you say. I'm going to make this shit happen.
Yeah, but I think racist and racism are different, though. I think everybody's racist in terms of, I think most people prefer their own people. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Was that prejudice or racism? Because racism is systematic, and Black people can't be racist.
Well, racist, it baffles me, and I think I said this before, that we say pianist or gymnast, and it doesn't have a negative connotation. But then you say racist, the suffix just means I have a liking or pertain, like this pertains to me. I have an affinity for this. That's what the suffix ist means. So I don't think there's any harm in that. I think racism, that's the reason why I put it there, is the application of bias and prejudice.
Can I ask Mary a question real quick?
Go ahead.
So Mary, you said that they can be the president, but if they don't have legs, they can't play football.
Right. Like that's pretty clear. It's not all this shit that's changing all the time.
They ain't gonna be president.
But let me ask you this. So what
I'm not gonna say that's out completely.
What about
somebody that can't run with fucking with a goddamn football because you ain't got no legs?
But what about poor little Tank Tank? He have no legs, but he's a winner.
That shit ain't real.
Hilarious.
But I'm saying just overall, like, prepare them for what, the reality is of certain things, but you don't just tell your kid, you can't be president.
Yeah, but then to your point, you can't also tell a kid with no legs they can't play football because the nigga ain't have no legs and he was a runner.
But then he had that other shit. Like, man, listen.
Q, you can't. Hey, Q, you can't even wear metal cleats in football. You think you ain't gonna let him have a wheelchair?
Nah, that's where you tell the kid that can be the engineer to design something and be the first Black person to get credit for that. Because we don't get credit for shit that we invented. But that's neither here nor there. Have them design this for the kid, and then he could be the runner.
Nah, no more rabbit holes. Nah, the hell with that nigga. They got